this? Wedding song or something like that?
The Saturday morning MURF and EDUBBS show. That's
Must
right.
be a holiday
EDUBBS
tomorrow,
is
Murph.
back from his mission.
Must be a holiday tomorrow with this music.
Huh?
I said it must be a holiday tomorrow with this music.
I don't know, and I'm sure that you are going to tell us all about it. What's going on, dude? How you doing?
Not one of my favorite weekends, Murph, but happy to be here and good to see you. It's been a couple of weeks.
Yes, it has. Now, let's just get this out of the way. Why don't you like this weekend? I saw your post on Facebook on your EDUBBS Facebook page. And don't forget about EDUBBS Eats as well. EDUBBS Eats he's got a pretty good Facebook page and Instagram account with all his food and stuff. But why don't you like this weekend? Real quick, because we got a lot of sports to talk about.
Okay, well, yesterday I liked because yesterday was May 3rd. It's 3 months to my birthday. So, everyone could start sending the gifts and the cakes over and stuff like that. So greatly appreciated. We're in that 90-day window now. Also, my retirement clock ticks. So every birthday I love now because the retirement clock ticks another year away. So that's something to look forward to. And then you come into May 4th. So May the 4th be with you. I say, may the Schwartz be with you, because you know what? May 4th means nothing to me, Rich. I'm not a Star Wars fan. I considered Star Wars a 3-hour nap in the movie theater as a kid.
Okay. Now you do realize that you're in a very small majority of people our age.
I do. And, I was C-3PO for a Halloween that year because that's what it was. It was Star Wars. But, I saw it. And I went to day camp as a kid, and usually on the rainy days, that's where they stick you. They stick you right in the theater. So it seems like I've seen Star Wars and Rocky like 1,000 times and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just like, I kind of like the funny movies, Rich. There's really no humor to Star Wars. Is there? I don't know.
What was you just said, like, maybe because we're at a certain age now where it's a movie, 9 movies that have kind of been watered down. Everybody's seen them 1,000 times.
There's 9? 9?
Yes, there's 9 of them. So you
obviously, where have I been?
The answer to my question is probably going to be watered down as well. When I ask you, is like, you obviously said you saw the first one. What was your initial response when you saw the first Star Wars?
Different. I don't think I ever saw a movie like that before. Basically, you know.
Okay. Now you didn't like the storyline.
Not much the storyline, but I did like the graphics, the robots and everything like that, Chewbacca, Darth Vader. So it was kind of like different. We never saw movies like that before.
Wait, I lost my camera here.
Yeah, you lost your camera, Rich.
Can you still hear me?
I still hear you, yeah.
Yeah, right. Hold on. We can keep talking. Just, go ahead.
Yeah. So, it was different. But like you said, there was 9 episodes already. So I guess I have a lot of watching to do, huh?
Yeah, I would say so, because you know what, though? That to me, I mean, most people my age, I guess you would say that, I don't know, like it's very nostalgic, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, maybe something like Rocky is nostalgic, something like, you know what I mean? So I think, like, when you say that you don't like Star Wars, which is all well and good, which is fine. But I think maybe when it comes to the point that you don't like Star Wars, it's kind of like you don't like that it's become what it is, that everybody likes it. Because it seems to me that when you're telling me all the stuff that you dislike, which is cool. And I think you're different when it comes to that. But I think that when you, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm kind of like, look, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for maybe, hold on. I'm really, this is really starting to bother me here about this camera here. So my camera is not working right now. So let's go up.
I think Star Wars was kind of like the first of the, I guess you could say trilogy or whatever. Now it's like there's 9 of them, but I think Star Wars was the first movie where you had like different parts and stuff. And then Rocky as well. So they came out right around the same time. And then of course, Harry Potter, I guess, and stuff like that. So I don't know what it is, Rich. It might be that there's just so many episodes out there that I know there's Star Wars, I forget, I'm looking for the word, but like people that dress up all the time, go to conventions and stuff like that, like fanatics of Star Wars and stuff. But I was never fanatic. Like I said, I sat through the movie. I didn't really understand the plot, but the graphics and the robots and everything, I thought was pretty cool. The music was great. Can't complain about the music and stuff, but just not into it.
Right. I hear you. Well, looks to me like we're only going to get some. Like we're going to get only audio of me today, because I don't know what's going on with my camera. Like I've always said that I need to get a new camera, and this might be time and place to do it. But anyway, yeah, I guess it won't be a distraction, but at least that's what I'm doing behind the scenes. But like I said, though, dude, it just seems to me like sometimes that, you like, like I said, you're going to go off on a tangent about tacos. That's why we started off our show with the Mexican hat dance. So Star Wars and tacos to me are kind of like stuff that is nostalgic. I mean, you know what I'm trying to say?
We're also, Rich, today, something else I don't like. Oh, you're back on the air. There's your camera. It's fixed. Good.
All right.
Good to see you again. I thought you were taking your clothes off or something like that and going to show me that you're doing the show naked or something like that, or you're going to walk around carrying a dozen bagels with no hands, if you know what I mean. But
don't tempt me.
but yeah, not only is May the 4th. Now, May the 4th just started a couple of years ago. It wasn't around in 1976 whenever Star Wars came out. It's just one of those new holidays they make. And tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo, another new holiday that made. It's not even celebrated in the country where it's originated from, apparently. But there's one more.
But you know what, though? Wait, let me stop you for a second. Cinco de Mayo. I mean, Cinco de Mayo is a holiday.
Is it a holiday in Mexico, though, Rich?
Oh, it's a holiday in Mexico, 100%. I agree. I'm not saying that, but it is kind of a holiday. It's Mexican Independence Day.
Ah, okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I it is actually, and it is not something that was made up. It's something that, Mexico got their independence. If I know my history, they got it from Spain. So, and now I think that's what they celebrate.
Well, it's just another day it's just another day
parade up Newburgh every year that gets, I don't know, I think it gets canceled every year because of gang activity.
I'm going to buy stock in, I buy like 100 shares of Corona stock today, and then I sell it on Monday. So that's what I'm going to do. But something else I don't like today. I don't know your opinion on this, but today's the Kentucky Derby as well. I think horse racing is a crock. I mean, it's just another way that America say, hey, let's drink. Let's watch horse racing and let's drink all day, basically.
You know what? I don't normally agree with you with these silly stuff, but we've gone on this tangent before about the jockeys and the horses and what they do to these horses and stuff like that. It is what it is, but I've never been a Kentucky Derby guy either. Everybody, you know what it is? And I think the whole allure to the Kentucky Derby is a lot of people that aren't, I guess, like sports gamblers. I guess back in the day, OTB was very famous because for some reason you couldn't gamble in New York, but you could bet on horses, which always to me was very weird. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Kentucky Derby. Like, I have no clue who's the favorite. I don't care who, Joe Blow's, horse is going to maybe win the Triple Crown. I don't care. It's a horse. And at the end of the day, I don't know how well they're treated or how they're not treated, but they're, I guess they're athletes in their own way. I mean, horses are just they are just, if you look at one of these like thoroughbred horses, I mean, I don't watch the Kentucky Derby and I'm not a big horse racing guy, but just from a perspective of looking at an animal that's just like majestic, dude, like muscles. And it's like, that is, it's a horse and that's what he's doing. He's running. So I guess he can't be, the only way I guess that the Kentucky Derby could be swayed, I guess, a little bit is, I guess, if the jockey sucks or if you pump these horses up with steroids, for the end of the day, the horses are just going to want to run free and they have no competition factor with each other. It's actually the jockeys and the owners. I mean, you think like the horses are looking at each other that morning and be like, yo, this jockey is going to stop hitting me. He better stop hitting me because I am not running today.
Do you think the horses wake up today and say, hey, it's a Kentucky Derby today, right?
No, the horses wake up today and say, how much jizz are they going to pump from me today? Because, I apparently I pump out good kids. That's what that horse is thinking right now. Not about running a race at all.
So, I propose if the day after you have the Kentucky Derby, you have another derby where the horses sit on the jockey's back and the jockeys run around the track. How about that?
I love it. Then I think the jockeys would have to be a little bit bigger than their minuscule size now. Then you're going to see probably like 9-foot jockeys. All of a sudden they're going to be, genetically, making like these jockeys that are 9 feet tall so they can carry the horses. Say, see, I told you we could do it. No, but Kentucky Derby, don't care.
It just boggles my mind. I mean, the pregame comes on at like 4:00 or 3 or whatever, and then you have a 2-minute race basically. And there's just so much to talk about this stupid 2-minute race where, people will say, oh, well, the Super Bowl pregame show comes on 11 o'clock in the morning, but the Super Bowl is like a 4-hour spectacle, basically. This is just 2 hours. You know what? One year I went to the bathroom, Rich. I missed the Kentucky Derby by the time I was out, because the race was over. But, I have no interest. And another thing, Rich, it's not interesting anymore because gambling is legal in New York. Gambling only used to be legal to, like you said, OTB and horses. Now you got the FanDuel, you got the DraftKings, and you could watch a baseball game, and you could bet on everything, Rich. You could bet on the next pitch the pitcher's throwing. I mean, that's how you get your entertainment now. You don't have to wait till 6 o'clock or 6:30 for a 2-minute race around a muddy track, whatever it is.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And, I think the allure is, you got to be, sometimes you listen to these sports talk radio shows and it's weird. Like, the people are actually into horse racing, but when they just start talking about it, and like, I instantaneously just turn the channel because it doesn't interest me at all. And I know there's people out there that, they could break it down for me and say how it is a sport and, these jockeys, what they do and they train. And there are your enthusiasts out there. I get it. But it just, to me, it's just not interesting. I don't know. It's like, I guess it literally is the same thing. Well, not really. I would say like the dog races in Florida, but those dogs.
I've been to the dog races. I went to the dog races in Hialeah one time down in Florida, and it was all like, I don't know if they still have them, Rich, because it's really bad for the dogs.
Yeah, it's inhumane. It's inhumane, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, they at the end of the race, the dogs just run right into a net, basically, and they're all like on top of each other, basically.
I mean, I don't know, like I don't know if you remember correctly, if you're a Simpsons fan or not, but you remember, they have the dog. Their dog's name is Santa's Little Helper. Now, Santa's Little Helper was a horse racing dog.
I do
remember. Homer Simpson had spent all his money and he bet on this greyhound. Greyhound loses the race. Okay, so the owner of that greyhound kicks the greyhound out of the kennel, says, "You suck. You're not this, that, and the other thing." Homer feels bad because he has no money. He's going to lose his house. His family's going to be pissed at him. So he sees Santa's Little Helper because it's Christmas Eve, brings him home, and that's their dog. That's how Santa's Little Helper. That's the backstory to Santa's Little Helper on The Simpsons. If anybody wanted to know.
Yeah, that's great. I do love The Simpsons, Rich. That's something I do like, The Simpsons. I like those cartoons. That's funny.
I know you did.
Star Wars, not funny. So back to Star Wars. But, you look at these owners like this guy, Bob Baffert. Everyone thinks this guy, he's every horse with. But look at the history on this guy. Do a Google on him. He's not the squeaky clean guy that he's meant out to be, Rich. And I think he was suspended about a year or two ago for doing something bad. So, there's always bad stuff going on when there's gambling involved, to get that edge and stuff. So if I remember correctly, last year during the Kentucky Derby, didn't they find like 2 or 3 horses dead, like into the couple of I think they had to put down 3 horses that day too. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And like I said, these horses, you don't perform. And, I know it's like it's a saying or whatever, like, take them to the glue factory. But literally, that's pretty much what they do. If they can't stud them out, they're worthless. Well, what if they break a leg while they're running? They're worthless. It's so. I don't know. It's just it's a gray area with the whole horse racing thing. I know a lot of people do like it, and but it's just not. On the flip side, Tyreek Hill breaks a leg, and what happens? He goes on the injured list. He comes back in 10 weeks. They don't put him down. So, you can't compare football to horse racing at all. So,
No. Although, I mean, listen, you want to talk about if they're athletes, horses are better athletes than humans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Horses are definitely better athletes. And they don't even go to the gym, right? How about that?
No, they don't. They're just them. They're just being a horse. They're just being a horse. That's it.
Yeah, my next life, I want to be a horse. How about that, huh?
Mr. Red was pretty funny back in the 50s.
Yeah. So, we transition to tomorrow now, Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
Now, I don't know about you, but I think tacos are like the most ridiculous food in the world.
Okay. But you know what? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I lived in Forest Hills, and there was a Taco Bell right across the street on 63rd Drive or Road, whatever it was, and I never went there once. Ben liked Taco Bell, so I got him takeout Taco Bell, but I didn't order myself anything. It just has no appeal to me, a taco. I don't know. I mean, I like, don't get me wrong, I like Mexican food. Mexican food's great, but a taco, I mean, I get the vision of these old the Orita taco kits with the hard shells and the whatever that mystery meat was in it and stuff like that, shredded lettuce, tomato, whatever. I just don't like tacos, and I don't know why we all have to eat tacos tomorrow for some reason.
Well, we don't have to eat tacos. You know what it is? I think it's kind of like we don't have to eat tacos tomorrow. I think they just correlate tacos with being Mexican, which is kind of, I don't know if that's kind of racist in its own, but yeah, tomorrow is supposed to be a day like I said, Irish people and St. Paddy's Day. Everybody's Irish on St. Paddy's Day, so they drink beer and they go out to the bars.
I need corn.
Everybody's Mexican, so hey, let's just eat tacos and drink Corona. So I think like tomorrow, like that's the kind of the reason why you eat tacos, because it's a fast food. And to be honest with you, Eric, I know you don't, you like, but I guarantee you like all the ingredients that get put into it. Because Jack right now, obviously, telling him about going to culinary school. He makes tacos, and they do not taste like your stupid tacos that you see in your commercials in the 80s and stuff like that. Jack makes legit tacos. Like, I forgot what he calls it, but like he cooks or he fries up the shell, the soft shell in a cast iron pan. And I forgot what they're called, but like
so
whatever.
it's a soft shell taco then, not like
yeah,
the hard
but
ones.
they're kind of called something, but and then like you'll wrap the hard taco and soft. And I don't know. There's ways to eat them, but again, maybe it's a nostalgia thing for you too, because like when you see the commercials, like they're shoving all that garbage into it. It's like it's like quick meal. But some thought does actually go into it. I can't eat them all the time, and I do like Mexican food sometimes, but I think tacos are pretty good though. But I'm not eating tacos tomorrow just because it's Cinco de Mayo. I'm going to say, hey, listen, wow, they got their independence today.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because whenever I drive home from work on Route 9 and drive past what's that? There's a Mexican restaurant across from Home Depot over there. They would have tents out. Yeah, tents out, 1 million people, and then you drive back the next day. There's no cars outside. So I think that's the Mexican restaurant's hit or miss day. That's like their Black Friday, basically. That's the day they make all their sales, I guess, right?
Well, yeah, I guess so. But that Cafe Maya place does get pretty crowded sometimes. If you go by there on a Sunday afternoon for brunch, you can't even get in that place sometimes on a Sunday afternoon.
Now, Rich, I did some research. I mean, I know everyone's like so big on tacos, Taco Tuesday, and everything like that. Yeah. But you know what the number one food in America is? The number one food that Americans like?
Hot dogs. Got to be.
How'd you get that? You got that.
No, I kind of knew that just because I was reading something the other day and I couldn't believe that I read it was hot dogs, to be honest with you. I really, coincidentally, I did read something the other day about that.
Now EDUBBS likes hot dogs, but EDUBBS has hot dog rules. First of all, they got to be all beef. Not necessarily kosher, but it has to be all beef.
I agree.
The smokehouse. I don't know if you've been to the smokehouse. They got some of the best hot dogs there. So that's one rule. Rule number 2, I only eat hot dogs on U.S. holidays. So we're talking Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day. So those are only 3 days I eat hot dogs on. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going on a baseball trip with Ben in 2 weeks. So we're going to the Midwest, and they have some great hot dogs that I want to try. And it's kind of like a little bit before Memorial Day. So I'm kind of like bending the rule this year. So I'll be trying some nice hot dogs in Cincinnati, Chicago, and Detroit. Nice. But I do have another rule about hot dogs, Rich. So it involves people. People invite you to their houses and stuff like that. So I have a rule. If EDUBBS is driving more than 25 miles to somebody's house, and you're serving me hot dogs, right? The gift I bring decreases by 75%. So, so here's the deal: if I'm going to bring a cake, right, from the bakery, and I see hot dogs, what I do is I take the cake back to my car, put it on ice, and then I go to the 7-Eleven and get Entenmann's cake. So that's what happens. You see,
but you know what though? I love Entenmann's cake. If somebody brought an Entenmann's cake to my house, I would love it.
Okay, but what about bakery cake? A nice bakery cake, frosted and everything like that. So
good. This is good.
So I figure if I have to drive and I'm coming to your house driving more than 25 miles, and you're serving me hot dogs, that's not the effort. You're losing effort. If I'm driving 25 miles and you're making me an organic, a 28-day organic ribeye steak, bone in, then it's fine. Then you're going to get the gift, and maybe I'll give you some, a bottle of wine on top of it. But if you're going to serve me hot dogs and I'm driving such a long distance, sorry, the gift is decreasing. Maybe I won't get the Entenmann's cake. Maybe I'll get a box of Twinkies. How's that?
So you know what though? I don't think that would happen in our circles, the people that we know and and stuff like that. I don't think that would happen at a barbecue, especially not a barbecue at my house. Because if you were coming to my house for a barbecue,
barbecues are different, Rich. Barbecues are different, because barbecues, you got burgers. I'm talking.
That's what I mean, though. I would never serve hot dogs.
Let's talk about a day in February. Nobody's using the grill. So if I go to somebody's house and they're serving me hot dogs,
sometimes the wintertime is good for the grill. But you know what though? I would never if somebody was coming for a house dinner and I'm serving hot dogs, no, I don't think I'm going to serve hot dogs unless they're like special hot dogs. But no, hot dogs at a barbecue though. Usually you get a bunch of hot dogs for the kids, and you get steak or chicken or burgers for the for the adults and some of the kids. But I mean, if you put a hot dog on the grill and it gets them black marks and it's perfect on the grill and throw a little ketchup on it, I don't know. And I'm also kind of like you in a sense that you say that you only eat hot dogs on American holidays, whatever. I'm kind of just like a summer hot dog guy. Like I won't go to a restaurant ever and order a hot dog unless it's Walter's Hot Dogs down in Mamaroneck, which is amazing.
Yeah. But, there's some places in Jersey too that serve hot dogs.
Yeah.
You ever hear of an Italian hot dog, Rich?
Yes, I have. And there's a really, really good place in Connecticut that I just heard about.
It's a Jersey staple. It's a Jersey staple. Yeah.
Yeah, but I know I just heard about a place in Connecticut that does it the same way. So it's kind of like where I'm working right now.
When I say Italian hot dog, I don't mean Tony Soprano pulling down his pants. Okay.
No,
I mean, so you know what the number 2 food was, Rich, on the list?
Pizza?
Actually, pizza was number 4. Number 2 was French fries. Now, French fries, everybody loves French fries.
Listen, my wife eats her fair share of French fries. So, a lot of people, and that's like her one, my wife eats really good, but she likes her French fries. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's kind of like, maybe that's why that's number 2, because a lot of people that do eat good, but nobody can resist a good French fry. Like Jack makes amazing French fries now.
Oh, wow.
He makes fresh crusted potatoes, puts them in the deep fryer, and oh my God, they're amazing. They taste like these French fries that we used to get back on, at the seaport back in the day at a place called Roebling's that my uncle used to work at.
Okay.
Awesome cut French fries. Jack makes them the same way. That's again reminiscent of from when I was a kid, but I love those fresh cut French fries. So yeah, I agree. Probably French fries would be number 2.
Yeah. So you know what number 3 is? Number 3 is a little tough one.
Number 3, I have to hamburgers.
No, chicken tenders. Now, when I think of chicken tenders, I think it's a kid's food, but you know what? There's a lot of adults that like chicken tenders.
You know why a lot of adults now like chicken tenders? Because I think chicken tenders have been pretty much a staple for the last 20 years. They make get the kids chicken nuggets and French fries. So
it's like the new food on the block. Yeah.
So now when we're older, we're like, we're sitting there, we have kids now, and our kids are like, get the kids chicken nuggets and French fries. And then us as men, we're like, oh, chicken nuggets and French fries. Yeah, give me some of that stuff too. I think that's a good one though. I would never have thought that, chicken tenders, but it's an easy food to make. That's why, you know what I mean? Yeah. And they pump it out in mass production,
Now, I just want to take a step back because you said something before. You like ketchup on your hot dogs. And I thought I was the only one that liked ketchup on my hot dogs.
Absolutely. No, you are not the only one. Everybody likes ketchup on a hot dog. A lot of people, most people do anyway. If it's just quick. I mean, if you're really sitting down and putting, a bunch of stuff on, making it like a gourmet hot dog. But if you got a quick hot dog, throw some Heinz ketchup on there, put it in, oh my God, delicious. Delicious.
Yeah, no, number 4 on the list is pizza. I mean, pizza, it's got to be in the top 5, no doubt about that.
I'm surprised. I'm literally surprised it's not number 1. I mean, that's
I'm surprised too. It would be number 1 on mine. Remember, I had that pizza contest a couple of years ago. But yeah, pizza. I never met a person that doesn't like pizza, Rich.
No, I met there's. It's funny. Aiden has a friend, Matthew, and he was over here last night. And when he was a kid, all he would eat was Pizza Hut pizza.
Oh wow!
And all he ate when he came here was Pizza Hut pizza and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So he says to me last night, like he's really in here having a nice conversation with us. He's older now, him and Aiden, they're both 19, almost 20. So he's having a really good conversation, telling us about his life, and then he kind of like walks out and comes back in and goes, I'm not as quiet as I used to be. Am I? He's like, no, that's really good, Matthew. It was really nice to hear him talk about his dreams and everything. And he goes, it was pretty nice, but it's funny. All he ate was Pizza Hut pizza.
Wow. I think there's only one Pizza Hut left in Newburgh in this area. There used to be the one over there by Walmart over there, but that closed down. It's an Indian restaurant now. But you talked about peanut butter and jelly, Rich. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich is 24th on the list out of 25. But I've never had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I'm not allergic to peanuts, but I just never had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in my life.
Okay.
My wife can't believe me. She says, Jody, how can you never have a peanut butter sandwich? I said, never had one.
Now, I listen, you say a lot of things that I'm like, it's weird, whatever. Say a lot of things that you don't like. A peanut butter and jelly sandwich is the perfect snack. My kids do not eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. They won't even try because they say they don't like peanut butter. There is nothing on this planet more perfect than a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's easy, white bread, throw it in your mouth with some milk. I don't know, dude. You should try one. I don't know if you don't like it or like it. I have to get you. If you think it's disgusting,
I just never had one. Never.
I'm gonna make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm going to, and I'm gonna go by your house. I'm gonna knock on your door, and there's gonna be a little baggie hanging on your door, and it's gonna say "Eat me," and it's gonna be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. All right,
eat me. Oh my!
I might even just pour a glass of milk in the Ziploc bag too, so you can really get the taste.
Milk.
Nah, peanut butter and jelly. I love peanut butter and jelly. I always think people that don't like it are weird. So, but I don't think you're not weird. So maybe.
No, I'm definitely weird because even Jody will say, "You never had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich." I said, never.
Now, I gotta say, you know why you don't like peanut butter and jelly? You were never a beach person. Jody's a beach person, right?
Is that what it is?
The beach peanut butter and jelly sandwich is a staple, dude. Everybody,
Is it
Everybody
the sand?
thinks,
Is it the ocean air? What is it? What is it?
I don't know. When there is a touch of sand in there and a little crunch, I don't know. It's just weird, but it's just reminiscent of the beach. When you see your wife later, ask her if that's the reason, or if there's some kind of like, if it's if she used to eat it at the beach. So I know she likes the beach, so ask her that question later.
Perfect. Yeah, that could be it. That could be it.
Maybe.
So number 6 on the list, apple pie.
Don't like it. Never did. Don't like
Cherry
it.
pie. I'm a cherry pie fan. I'm not
a pie person. Too
Yeah,
slimy. It's a texture thing.
Meatloaf, number 7. Ugh, I can't stand meatloaf.
I like it.
I told my mother one time that I'd rather have meatloaf at the hospital because it's, every meat than her making meatloaf. And wow, she got offended by that. So yeah, you believe that as a kid, little EDUBBS telling his mom that eat hospital.
Hey, Mom, you're a terrible cook.
Jody wants to make a meatloaf all the time. I said, you can make it, but I'm not going to eat it. That's why they invented Chinese restaurants,
I like meatloaf. I like it. What's number 9?
Number 8, macaroni and cheese.
Like macaroni and cheese. Gotta say one thing. My sister-in-law makes a very good macaroni and cheese. She puts like little bits of like cheese, like what are those cheese nibs on it, and she makes it fresh, homemade. I really do like. I like macaroni and cheese.
I'm impartial. If it's there, I'll eat it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to eat it. But the number 9 is probably one of the favorites. This should be in the top 5. The grilled cheese sandwich. Now, there's nothing like a grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah, and a little tomato soup too. You have to. I think you have to add the tomato soup.
And not only that, put bacon on the grilled cheese with the tomato soup.
Wow. Yes. Perfect. Love the grilled cheese sandwich.
Yep.
What's number 9?
Okay, that was number 9. Number 10 is pot roast. Now, pot roast is like it's a comfort food. It's a winter food. You're not going to eat pot roast in the summertime, but there's nothing like a good pot roast, if you know what I mean.
Do you like it?
I do.
I love a good hot open pot roast sandwich from like a diner or something with the gravy and the mashed potatoes on it, and it's just kind of like an open sandwich. Oh, I love a good pot roast is amazing. My grandmother used an amazing pot roast. I do love that.
A couple of Mondays ago, I was coming from work, and I called Ben. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Nothing." I said, "Meet me at the diner in Highlands, and we'll go out to dinner." So we met at the diner, and that's what he wanted that night. He wanted pot roast. So and it looked pretty good, actually. It looked pretty good.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, that's the top 10 food. I can't believe hamburgers aren't on that list.
We didn't hamburgers were. I missed hamburgers. Hamburgers were number 5. I went right from pizza to apple pie. Hamburgers are number 5. So
awesome. Okay. In my list, hamburgers and pizza, hamburgers. What do you all give me your top 3 out of that 10?
Okay, so I just want to talk about hamburgers for a second. So hamburger, I made them too. Hamburger, and I put egg on it. Egg, bacon, jalapenos, coleslaw, provolone cheese. Oh my God. It was like one of the best burgers I ever had. There's nothing like a hamburger. Oh, but you know what though? But you missed out, Rich, because you have yours well done, right? You don't like it medium.
Well, medium well. Medium
well.
I don't miss out, but medium well. I'm going a little, I'm kicking it back a little bit now, But yeah, I'm like a medium well guy.
I thought hamburgers would be number 1. Who doesn't like a hamburger?
You know what it is too? I think it's consumption as far as like, ease of consumption. You know what I mean? Like you could eat maybe 2 hamburgers to like, 4 tacos, you know what I mean? Yep. Or 5 tacos, or 1 hamburger is like 3 tacos. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like consumption of the product, like hot dogs are quick, you know what I mean? Right. Pizza's quick,
So there's a place.
I like that list. I like that list.
Coming up. Moonburger, Rich? You ever hear of the place Moonburger?
No.
Moonburger is like a local hamburger place, but it's not meat. It's not meat. It's the vegetarian burgers, whatever.
Oh, forget about that. I'm eating a ham.
I've never eaten it, but they opened one on Route 9 in a mobile station in Poughkeepsie. Yeah. And a couple of weeks ago, the cops had to get there because the traffic was so long getting into this place. Crazy.
Just because it's new. Where is it?
It's in a mobile station across from Barnes & Noble, like that area, Poughkeepsie. So it's 9 going south. It's in a mobile gas station, they put it.
All right. Well, I'm not going out of my way to try a hamburger that's not a hamburger. So.
Well, I'm going to be in Newport today, so I'm hoping to get a nice, juicy hamburger. Not a veggie burger, a hamburger in Newport. So
come on, Eric. Listen, that is one thing you got to say. Like, you're a meat guy, dude. You can't be eating these like tofu burgers and veggie burgers. You're a meat guy, bro. If you're going to eat vegetables, eat vegetables.
I tried it. I tried it for 9 months, but I was eating fish. And we went to Ruth Chris, and Jody and Ben said, you better pace yourself. I ate a 32-ounce ribeye that night. I knocked it off in like 10
that.
minutes and didn't have any ill effects or anything like that. So it was the first time I ate it in 9 months, but it was good. And,
Nice.
I haven't looked back since. Plus, you need your iron, Rich. You need your iron. I don't get a cold. Why don't I get a cold? Because I eat red meat. It's got a lot of benefits. So, but yeah. So that's the food portion of the MURF and EDUBBS show.
Yes,
But
exactly.
like I said, happy May the 4th be with you, and happy Cinco de Mayo Eve. I'll be at Yankee Stadium tomorrow, dodging the raindrops. I don't know if they're gonna play, but I'm not going to eat a taco tomorrow. So, but
it'll be all right.
But yeah.
All right. Listen, we have a sports show to get to, right?
Yes, sir.
And I have a question for you that I had a discussion with my son, our monthly argument, our monthly basketball argument about LeBron James. We don't want to get into too much about this. I want to ask you a specific question, though, about the argument that happens all the time. Okay. Me and Aiden got into our monthly LeBron, Jordan, and I even threw out there, I told him I would put Kobe ahead of him. Like, we got into this big thing, which kind of like, we yelled at each other. It kind of was out in the driveway. Our neighbor comes out. I'm like, at least we're not yelling at each other. We're talking about basketball. But anyway, my whole thing with this is like, he says to me, LeBron James is the greatest basketball player that ever lived. I say, I put him number 3. He's like, how do you put him number 3? I could see Jordan, but how do you not put him over Kobe? Now, I said to him, he says, this is a terrible take, my take that I'm about to give, okay? We're getting to a point in the greatest of all time debates. Let's just use basketball, all right? We're getting into a debate, a greatest of all time debate with stats, okay? So everybody pulls out when they want to talk about the greatest player of all time, they talk about the stats. Well, he has this, well, he has that. Okay, fine. You want to talk about stats, that's one thing. So I said to Aiden the other night, I said, if you want to call LeBron James the best and greatest basketball player that ever lived, he has to lead. He has to be the leader in at least every single relevant category in the history of basketball if you want to call him the best basketball player that ever lived. And he says that's a crazy take. I said, no, it's not a crazy take because he's the best center. He's the best this. He's just the best basketball player, and he exceeds everybody else's statistics, okay? And I said, if he has that, then yes, and you could tell me he's the best, greatest basketball player of all time. I think you don't put him up there because he could have all the stats in the world, but he doesn't have intangibles, okay? Now, in the intangibles, I mean comparisons of like the other night. I don't know why, but when he said the other night that it's just basketball, it ate to my core. And yes, I don't like him. So, and that's Aiden what says to me is like, you're starting off this conversation by you don't like LeBron anyway. And he's absolutely right. I just don't like him. But when he said the other night that it's just basketball, that shows his fans that he's just saying, guys, it's just a basketball game. But a lot of his fans don't look at it like that. And then they compare it to the Allen Iverson. It's just practice. You don't know the story behind the Allen Iverson. It's just practice thing. LeBron James, to me, is a person who's super talented. He's athletically better than anybody that we've seen in years. He's got the points. He's got this. He's got that. He doesn't have killer instinct. He doesn't like basketball, and I don't think he's a good person. I don't think if you want to give the ball to Kobe, Jordan, or LeBron, I would give it to either one of those two guys and probably about 20 people before LeBron. Now, he says to me that my argument doesn't make any sense because I think that you're talking about the greatest players of all time. They need to have other intangibles like drive, wanting to play 82 games a year and kicking people's asses in the playoffs, wanting to win a championship, not for you, wanting to win a championship for your teammates, making your whole team, making somebody a Hall of Famer, not somebody making you a Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? Like that Bulls team, Scottie Pippen's a Hall of Famer because of Michael Jordan. And that was so obvious because he didn't have that killer instinct. Great basketball player. But you know what? Maybe Scottie Pippen's mentality was like LeBron James. Now, I get this shit from these kids who try, it's a big thing now. It's like the old heads against the young kids. It's a different game now. I think now comparatively, my neighbor says to me the other day is the greatest football player that ever lived is Tom Brady. The best football player that ever lived, you could probably say is Lawrence Taylor, or you can say one of these guys. Now, Brady's the greatest because he's won championships. He's brought his team back from deficits. He's done all those tangibles. He's the maniac yelling at everybody. He loves the game of football. LeBron James, athletically, statistically, sure, you could call him the greatest of all time. But you know what, though? There's certain things that he doesn't have that the greatest of all time has. Now, do you think my take on that is a dumb take? Or do you think that it's something that could be discussed?
Yeah, I'm not big on that, Rich, on the greatest of all time arguments. They'll be around forever, and nobody ever wins these arguments either. So, but I was just, when you were saying something just now, something just clicked in my mind. So, I know people say I'm biased and stuff, but I want to talk about the Yankees. So look at these guys: Derek Jeter, Jorge Posada, Mario Rivera, and Andy Pettitte, right? And Bernie Williams to an extent. So these guys had the drive. Right? They won the championships. They're not the greatest of all time, but they are the prototypical athlete that you want. They had heart. They had drive. They wanted to win for their team, and they did win for their team. They won rings. So a lot of these guys just like the paycheck, Rich. They like to play for, play by, like LeBron. Do you think he has the drive to win the championships? They went quietly in the night, Rich. They didn't even put up a fight with Denver in the playoffs. Nope. Right? I mean, Anthony Davis played well. But
whoa. I'm sorry. Just pause for 3 seconds. I want to say something about Anthony Davis. The guy took a night off during the playoffs. I'm sorry. Keep going. I want to talk. He took a night off during the playoffs. He wasn't injured.
Yep.
I'm crazy. Sorry. Go ahead. That's
crazy. No, I'm just saying. And look what happened to the Lakers coach, Ham. He's fired, right? They got rid of him. Yep. Right? So, did they think they were going to win the Lakers? I mean, you know what, Rich? And when you're talking about the Lakers, they won that in-season tournament. I think they took that more seriously than going for the actual ring. They won the in-season tournament. What good is the in-season tournament? The Indiana Pacers were and look at the Pacers. The Pacers are still in the playoffs, but the Pacers have to drive. And I want to talk about the Pacers and Knicks because, we have this rivalry revisited. Getting back to your thing, Rich. It's hard to really talk about that, the arguments and stuff like that. But you have to look like Tom Brady. Yeah, he might be one of the greatest, but it's a different era, a different type of football. Back then, there were less teams, less players. Now there's more teams, more. Whenever these arguments go, it's hard to compare. You could say that Babe Ruth was the best player ever, but you put Babe Ruth in today's baseball, is it about? No, Babe Ruth might be a Steve Balboni. I don't know if you remember Steve, but that's what it is, Rich. It's hard to make the comparisons nowadays, and to put LeBron James as the best basketball player ever, I think. You can't because these guys had the drives in the 80s and 90s, the 60s and 70s. I mean, these guys were playing every day. Like I said, Dennis Rodman would play 42 minutes. What would he do after the game? He'd be on the treadmill running and stuff like that. After the game, after playing 48 minutes, whatever, the full game, not coming out, And I look at these guys. I look at Tyrese Maxey and I look at Jalen Brunson. They played their hearts out, Rich, in this series. And you know what? People might say Joel Embiid is soft, but let me tell you something about Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid had Bell's palsy. Now, people don't realize what Bell's palsy is. Bell's palsy is like a little stroke of the face where your face, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. My dad had Bell's palsy, and, it wasn't comfortable sleeping. Your eye wouldn't close. You had so he was diagnosed during the playoff series, and the guy comes out. He's got no gas left in his tank. Even in the overtime the other night, Rich, he was like a walking statue for 4 quarters. He comes out in the overtime and starts blocking shots. So, I mean, all kidding aside, Joel Embiid gave 110% in that playoff series.
Yeah, he did. But Eric. But he bothered me with his complaining and being a big baby and kind of like he should have been suspended. He should have had that flag. He should have been suspended for what he did to Mitchell or Robinson. He should have been. He should have gotten a flagrant for that, and he didn't.
Exactly.
I mean, this is stuff that, look, I understand. Like the guys, I'm not taking anything away from him, but he's a perfect example of like I said, back to what we're talking about. We're going to go into the NBA now, but I want to tell you like what I meant by the greatest. We could have the conversation. You could have conversations about the greatest, and no one's really right. But if you want to compare stats, then the stats are concrete. But that's what my point is. You could look at stats and have a concrete best player of all time, but there's intangibles that are involved because there's so many people that have the stats that I think you have to bring intangibles in when you're talking about these guys that are just the greatest at their sport. Like, I'll tell you right now, I think Derek Jeter was not the greatest shortstop of all time. But I'll tell you right now, you got to talk about him in the top 3 just because of his presence. And that's what I mean. I mean that. And when people say, oh, Derek Jeter's not the greatest, but you have to talk about his presence on the field when you talk about the greatest players of all time, or even like the greatest scientists of all time, or the greatest presidents of all time. Like Joe Biden is going to go down as the worst president in the history because he is. You look at what he's doing. You could compare stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like the greatest has to have intangibles. The best, you could see numbers. So that's what my point is with Aiden. But that's why I think that's why I think that my greatest conversation kind of holds water, because I'm not saying Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. That's my opinion because of how he was statistically. I mean, guy, six championships, 6 playoff. I mean, that speaks for itself. Those are like, he has intangible things over LeBron. That's what makes him better. And they're very close in all the stats. Plus, LeBron played 400 more games than him.
Right.
So that's what I mean, Eric, is like you have to talk about intangibles.
And you know, also, Rich, you could look at Mariano Rivera. People say Mariano Rivera is the best reliever of all time. And look, he's got the numbers to prove it. In the playoffs, too, when the money was on the line, he was lights out, gave up a couple of home runs. We can name the home runs he gave up. That's how good he was. But on the flip side, Goose Gossage comes out and says, oh, well, we used to pitch 3 innings to get saved. So what he does is just 3 outs. So he's not the greatest of all time. So like I said, it's different eras, Rich, you know? Yeah. These guys aren't playing 45 minutes a game in an NBA game. Granted, in the playoffs, a lot of these teams are going 7 deep, 8 deep. You know, they're not going their full roster, which should be in the playoffs, you know? But still, I mean, it's hard to make these comparisons, though.
But you're right.
You need the guy with the heart.
Yeah.
You need the guy with the ring.
You just mentioned the guy that they say is the greatest reliever of all time, and he is the greatest reliever of all time because of what you just said. Mm-hmm. It wasn't statistically like, again, A-Rod. A lot of A-Rod's home runs, if you look them up, he hit like, home runs when they were losing like 8-0 or like whatever. I'm just saying, Mariano Rivera came in at big spots, and when you saw Mariano Rivera, when he gave up that home run, you were like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, because you knew he was going to strike the side out and win the World Series or a playoff game or even a big game in Boston in the middle of like August. Mm-hmm. He was going to come in and strike out the side. And when he didn't, you're like, holy shit. Michael Jordan has missed his fair share of shots. Okay. Yep. You're like, that's going in. Oh my God, he missed that shot. That's what I mean when you have the greatest conversation.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Like we said, Rivera was lights out in the playoffs, but Goose Gossage is a big deal. We went out there every day and pitched 3 innings to get the save. So, there's always going to be critics. There's really no right or wrong answer on this, but it's good. It creates conversation between dads and sons. It's good because we saw the old players play, and the kids nowadays haven't seen those players. Our kids didn't see Michael Jordan play, right? So.
No, and on that stupid vintage baseball Facebook page, I like to get into with these idiots sometimes because they set up who's the best setup man of all time, and they were like naming guys, and like a lot of the guys that are my age, like I saw that answer there, so I said Mariano Rivera, and like these young guys, Mariano Rivera was a closer. He's a best. It's like, dude, go back. He set up for Wetland. Okay, so that's when you say like he set up for Wetland, then he became the greatest closer of all time. These guys, whatever, dude.
Yeah, like don't forget, he was a starting pitcher of Mariano. He started as a starting pitcher, and he was going to get traded because Steinbrenner didn't like him. But look what happened. So, his history, if you go back and watch this stuff, I mean, I think it'll be better for the next generation because we don't have that many videos of this stuff. I mean, it's grainy video and stuff now as the, technology. So if you're watching like stuff now where the grandkids will say, Dad, who's the best? Well, then you can watch the videos, because this is what's going on now. But, LeBron might be playing with his son next year. So we'll see about that, right? And LeBron might be coming to the Philadelphia 76ers, too. I think he's done with the Lakers. So I don't know what LeBron's doing, but I know he wants to get those extra years. So the funny thing is LeBron James, will wherever team LeBron James goes to, will that team take a waste a draft pick on his son so he could play the 1 year with his son, right?
Like I said, it sounds like a good idea, but you know what they're saying about this kid, which is fine, like that he's kind of a quiet kid, dude. Like they're saying that he's staying another year in college because of the fact that he's not. I would maybe immature, maybe. I mean, the kid's got all the talent in the world, but I guess he's not his dad. So I guess the people are really kind of trying to find that out. Like the kid likes to stay home and play video games. Like you never see. Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but. At this point, this kid is supposed to be like, one of the greatest high school players to come out since his father. Mm-hmm. And then, it's like, but you have these little things, these intangibles too. Maybe he will be better than his dad. But I think people look at that as like, he's quiet. Like he doesn't have a big personality. Like, if he's that, you should be hearing about him all the time. No. So maybe, I don't know. I really hope the kid does well and he gets,
we've seen father-son greatness. Yeah. We've seen Ken Griffey Jr., Griffey Sr., and then on the flip side, we saw Yogi Berra, Dale Berra, and we saw Pete Rose and Pete Rose Jr. So 100%. That didn't work out well. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with LeBron and Bronny. Don't forget, Bronny had the cardiac arrest scare.
Exactly.
So maybe, yeah. So that's that kind of delayed him this year and stuff. So maybe it does.
Some people, if you read, they're saying it was anxiety.
Yeah, could be. You never know. Trying to live in your dad's footsteps, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. Because you're having could you imagine that? Right now, you're being talked about as one of the top high school athletes in the country right now, and your dad is LeBron James.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that's got to be tough for that kid, man. It really does.
So,
I mean,
I got a better scenario. So Bronny, where's Bronny going? UCLA, USC? Where is he going?
I think it's UCLA. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. So LeBron James never went to college. So how about LeBron James goes to college and he's got the eligibility to play on the college team? How about that?
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. That's Get his degree with his son.
I mean,
have his son
stay 4 years. You see it every once in a while, Rich. You'll watch a college football game and they'll show like a guy in his 30s. He never went to college, but he's on the college football team. He's in his 30s. You see it.
I never even thought about that, dude. That is wow. That's not that'll never in a million years happen. But I like that idea.
Okay, Rich, really you got to make this a snip for those short takes that you do. Like this idea that I have.
Yes, I am absolutely going to put that out there. Eric,
seriously, in all seriousness, if you haven't gone to college, you're eligible to play your 4 years. If you go, no matter what age you go to college.
Explain again, because I'm going to clip this.
Okay, so here we go. So how about this scenario? Bronny goes to whatever college he's going to, USC, UCLA. And then LeBron James decides to go to college, and he never went to college, so he has that 4-year eligibility. And how about LeBron James plays college basketball?
I love that idea, but never going to happen. But I do love that idea. It'll kind of like maybe it'll bring back the college game a little more. Maybe these kids won't be in and out. Maybe
amazing
college records. What's funny is like Tiki Barber brought up a good point the other day. Like Ron Dane is still the leading rusher in college football. Now, now he said the reasoning behind that is because nobody stays 4 years anymore.
True. Nobody.
In basketball, like all these college records are never going to be broken. But you know what, though? Say Bronny wants to get his degree. You know what I mean? He stays for 4 years. Maybe he does break all those records. He obviously doesn't need the money. His dad's got trust funds set up from like crazy. So Eric, I like that, dude. I didn't even think about that. I like that a lot, man. I really do.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Who knows if it comes into fruition, but you never know. But yeah, so we'll see what happens now. Coming to the present time, the teams that are alive in the playoffs, I want to talk to you about the Celtics. So the Celtics had no problem with Miami. They stuffed Miami. Last year Miami did them in, so they gave them, the royal screw this year. So the Celtics, when they won it on Wednesday, right, Rich? Wednesday?
Yeah. Listen, that the one game that they did lose. I mean, they shot 23 3-pointers. What do you call it? Miami hit 23 3-pointers. Mm-hmm. There's that throwaway game. Now, I'm a Celtics fan too. And you know why the Celtics are a juggernaut right now? Because Tatum, because Porzingis, but not just those guys. Derek White scored 38 points the other night. I mean, they're if you look at their bench, like they run with, I think, 8 guys for the most part. Porzingis is out now, so I don't know what's going to happen, but they're different this year now. And I think that they're different this year because look at Tatum, for instance. Tatum disappears in the fourth quarter. That was my knock on him big time, but they're, what it is? And their point totals aren't extravagant. Like Donovan Mitchell had 50 points in a loss last night. You know what I mean? But you know why? Because their whole team is running with 20 points, 20 to 30 points. It's a consistent team effort. And this team has to win the championship this year. If they don't, there's going to be a problem because it's just that team. You know what I mean? Like they've made it. They've lost. This team, Jason Tatum is at a point in his life, in his career, where if you want to make that top 5 player in the NBA, you want to be that guy, you have to do something. This team has to win a championship. If they lose, it's not going to be a next year.
Right.
I just don't think so.
Yeah, the window's closing, but the Porzingis injury is definitely bad because you got Al Horford now taking most of those minutes and stuff like that, where Porzingis would have had. But the Celtics.
I like Al Horford.
Yeah, you do, right? He's a good player.
I like Al Horford. He's a little older now, but you know what though? I think that he's one of the. If you really want, I know you're not a Celtics fan. I watched every game last year. He was one of the shining points for the Celtics last year. He was doing everything. He was hitting big threes, rebounds. So not to the extent of a superstar, but he was really pulling his weight in that playoffs last year. So if he's got to take up some of that weight for Porzingis, who scored over 20 points this year. So. I don't know, man. Yeah, I think Horford would be all right. I think they kind of they got to give him a break every once in a while.
Yeah, and the break too, the rest. So they've been off the court for like 7 days. They'll be off the court because Cleveland and Orlando will have to play a 7-game tomorrow, basically. So
Did
the
you watch
Celtics
that game last night, dude? Did you watch that Orlando Cleveland game last night?
No, I was watching the Yankee game last night.
I watched it, bro. That was Orlando. Listen, they are not winning the championship this year by any stretch of the imagination, but they are an exciting basketball team to watch, man. Did you see that shot that kid hit last night? I forgot his name, but he was dribbling down. He
was it Banchero? Pablo Banchero? Was that the kid? Or
I don't remember his name. But he gets pushed and he's coming up and he kind of like lost the ball up from like 6 feet away, banks it in as he's falling back, and just back and forth. Orlando came back and they won that game at home to force a game 7. Again, they're not going to win the championship because of everybody else is a lot more equipped, but they are going to be there for a long time, man. Long time. Great coach, great young team.
Yep. What about the Knicks, Rich? You see the game the other night, the Sixers?
Knicks.
Yeah. So the Knicks and the Pacers renewing their rivalries. And it's funny because I was watching the other night and I thought Tyrese Maxey was version 2 of Reggie Miller, the way he came into the Garden and just like shut down the Knicks. Of course, the Knicks went to Philly and they ended the series. But yeah, the Knicks and the Pacers, you got the Pacers at high pace. Their name means the Pacers, so they play, and the Knicks play at the slow pace. So what happens in the series? It's
you know what it is. The Knicks just went through a crazy series with a different basketball team. You know what I mean? Like that was going to be like, we're going to beat the shit out of you. We're going to beat you up, whatever. But they're playing a Pacers team now that hits more threes than anybody else in the entire league. They're tough. They play great defense. And can you name me one of the starting 5 right now? I mean, you can, but just like, these guys are young players too.
Yep. Well, don't forget they have they got the veteran. They got what's his name, the center, Turner, right? Miles Turner. They got the center. Halliburton, young guy. They got some pretty good players, the Pacers, and they're fun to watch. They were scoring like 140, 150 points a game in the beginning of the season. You couldn't even stop this team.
But I do think that there's a player on the Knicks, and as long as the supporting cast plays well on the Knicks, they could be meeting the Celtics if they play it correctly.
Josh Hart's playing the guy's playing. He's playing defense, offense. He's doing everything, and he's playing like 45 minutes a game too.
Yes.
And you know what, Brunson.
Right, that's what I want to talk about.
Is Brunson one of the best free agent signings ever, Rich, in terms of return on investment? What is the guy? The guy's like an MVP caliber type player. What is
and you think somebody was saying the other day, like, and you think about it, is he the best free agent signing ever by the New York Knicks? And
I think he's the best free agent signing in sports ever.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
All right, listen, that kid is that good. It's almost like you're tired of saying like, the Knicks and Jalen Brunson at this. He's that good, man. Like he really is. Like you don't you want to hear these superstars. Like these guys are all superstars. Like I really think that there's a chip on his shoulder that Kawhi Leonard is sitting on the bench, is home right now, but he's gearing up for the Olympics while Jalen Brunson is sitting and should have a spot on that basketball team, dude.
Yeah.
Just because he's Jalen Brunson and not everybody knows him as much as Kawhi Leonard.
Well, don't forget, he was the sixth man. He was the sixth man, and look at him now. He's starting and he's going to get that MVP consideration, you would think.
Jalen Brunson is a legit star. Now, he's going to score if he scores over 40 points against the Pacers, there's no way the Pacers are going to beat them because Josh Hart's going to play, Mitchell Robinson's going to play. And I think that whole team, they don't just believe in Jalen Brunson. They believe in each other, dude. Like that whole team, like you see the way those 3 Villanova kids act with each other? That comes from years of playing with each other in college. And now they're messing around on a podcast together. They're joking around. It's like, this is a team that they're having fun playing basketball, dude. And, me being a Celtics fan, that's the team I don't want to play. Out of anybody, I don't want to see the Knicks because that's a team that can beat the Celtics because if they get motivated and they get going and Mitchell Robinson could take the big guys and, I think that's a matchup that the Celtics don't want to see. And the Knicks are playing at a very high level, I think, right now. And I think that it's amazing that Knicks fans are doing what they're doing and invading other people's arenas. That game last Sunday had to be half and half because when you heard the screams for the Knicks, and I'm talking about the first one. And then the other night when they won in Philly, it's like you heard the MVP chants for Jalen Brunson. It's unbelievable what their fans are doing now.
Did you
And
see what happened?
I know I'm a Celtics fan, but I do have love for the Knicks a little bit. Like I am a Mets fan, have love for the Yankees. It's you have to look at this as a whole and say they could possibly win a championship now and maybe 4 or 5 more.
Yeah, I mean, there was pure bedlam the other night, Rich, in Philly. The game started at 9:00 at night, and I was telling somebody, I said, "Why the hell are they starting a game at 9:00 at night in Philly? I mean, there's going to be so much trash after the game if the Sixers lose. Knicks fans are going to go nuts." And we've been to Philly, we've been to that sports complex, but if you go outside that sports complex half a mile, it's not really the most friendliest part of town, basically. So there's videos online you can watch this stuff. But I was going to say, game ending 11:30 at night in Philly, people mobbing out in the street. They put olive oil on the lights, the street lights. They put olive oil so people can't climb up and just a wild thing happening. But
you know what the city of Philly? You know what the city of Philly did? The city of Philly, the trains that run to the stadium. Yeah. It was like a couple bucks to get to the game, but after midnight, they quadrupled the price because they knew the Knicks fans would be there and they had to get on the, they doubled quadrupled the price of a ticket to get out of the stadium.
Well, the owner of the Sixers bought every ticket that wasn't sold, and he gave them to like hospital, an ambulance driver, first alert, for the cops, whatever. So they got the tickets, and then the special thing on these tickets, there was a special barcode on where you couldn't resell those tickets too. So that's how paranoid they were.
Exactly. Now you want to look at it if you're like a goody two shoes. And you want to look at this from a goody two-shoes perspective and be like, oh, that owner, he's so great. He's giving all these tickets to the first responders and this, that, and the other thing. And at the end of the day, I don't give a shit what you're talking about. That meeting went, Knicks fans cannot buy these tickets. We have to do anything possible. And you know what? Let's give them to the first responders because everybody will love that. Everybody will think we're great. That's what I think that comes. You're a businessman and you're going to say, oh, we're just going to give them to all these first responders and everybody. And because you look like a good person. But at the end of the day, you don't want New York invading your the spectrum. Oh, it's not the spectrum anymore.
Right,
yeah. You don't want New York invading Philadelphia.
Yeah. I mean, the whole New York Philadelphia thing it's rough. I mean, I went to a Giants Eagles game back in the day. Somebody had a Volkswagen with Giants bumper stickers on it. Rich, I came out after the game. The Volkswagen was turned on. They turned it over to Volkswagen. So crazy. I mean, those Philly fans can be rough sometimes. No love lost between Philly and New York. That's for sure.
No, absolutely not. I think, well, you know what's crazy though is the Philadelphia, Knicks thing definitely took on a thing of its own because it's New York, Philadelphia. Now the Knicks are going to play Indiana. Like we went through that. We went through the East a little bit. What do you think about these freaking Denver Nuggets, who I love? And not to mention, and maybe I'm biased because I love Jokic and I love Luka. I was so happy last night with Dallas when Dallas won that game. I was so happy. Dallas, those two, and you know how I feel about Kyrie. I can't stand him, but maybe it's kind of like he's like, wow, I'm playing with one of the greatest players in the league right now. Maybe I should kick it in. He had 30-something points last night. Now, Dallas is a team that if they're coached well, their owner's amazing. They have role players. Now, that's a team. I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to beat Denver, but could you imagine a Dallas-Denver, them going at it for the to go to the championship? I mean, crazy. Jokic is, I mean, on a easy night, he has a triple-double. On a good night, he's almost having quadruple doubles. Is there anybody in the league that's physically better than Jokic right now as far as being able to do whatever the hell he wants on the basketball court at any time and being a selfish? Now, listen, the thing about Jokic, too, is if you look at his stats, you might look at his stats and say, wow, this guy does everything. But when he's got to pass the ball, like he wants to be his assists will go up, his rebounds will go up. He gets all these points when he has to, or he gets all these rebounds when he has to. It just happens that he's getting triple doubles. Physically, he's a specimen, and I loved his little digs on LeBron during that whole series, like not making fun of him, but kind of like laughing at him. You know what I mean? Like laughing at him being a flopper and this, that, and the other thing. So Jokic right now, to me, they could win this year. They really can because Jokic is that good. I mean, do you agree with me or not with the West?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm hoping Minnesota wins. I'd like to see Minnesota beat them.
I don't think this year, but oh my God, would I love to see that.
I love Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards is one of the up-and-coming stars in the league.
Amazing.
They do have Gobert. Gobert could be really he could be tough on the boards going up against
COVID spreader.
Remember that touching the microphones and everything? Yeah. He was victim number one, I guess, right? But yeah, I think
NBA down.
game one's tonight. I mean, I'd really like to see Minnesota do it, but Denver is just like a well-oiled machine. They got Jamal Murray too at point guard, and when him and Jokic are on the court, magic happens. It seems
it's unstoppable because you have a guy who could shoot from all over the place, and you could have a guy that could play an inside game, outside game. Doesn't matter with Jokic, And I just think that Denver is just those two. That player, he's way too tough.
And they got Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon too. So they got their solid Denver, and Kavarius Pope. They got a solid team, Denver.
Yeah.
And, they're just a well-oiled machine, it seems. And their coach, Mike Malone. How can you? The guy's amazing.
Yeah, he really is. He says the right things. The ownership. They're good out there in Denver. I don't know, man. I just don't think anybody's really going to beat them. I mean, there is some good teams like Minnesota with this kid Anthony Edwards is going to be there. They're going to be a perennial playoff team now probably because of him. And he's going to go on. And see, I always like kind of in the back of my head like the Timberwolves. I'm a huge Kevin Garnett fan. So I mean, it's just nice to see a franchise that almost got there to with Garnett and Jason Williams. But now to see them recycled after a couple of years and now have a young star like Anthony Edwards making some noise. Basketball to me right now is I hope LeBron James retires this year. I really do, or whatever, because I'm just tired of him. Again, I know I can't stand him. I think the NBA is just getting tired of him because they're at this point right now in the NBA. If you're not an NBA fan, if you're like a casual NBA fan, I would say jump on the bandwagon now, man, because there is so many good young stars to watch in the NBA, and it's a very exciting game. Same with baseball too, dude. Baseball, a lot of good young stars, a lot of really, really good young stars. They're exciting games to watch right now.
Yeah, we'll get to baseball in a second.
Yeah,
but
of course,
Edwards, the one Anthony Edwards story I like is he never knew who A-Rod was because A-Rod's part of the ownership of it. He never knew the kid, which he probably never watched the baseball game and stuff like that. So, but then on the flip side, somebody told me they were in Phoenix last week in the bathroom. And they were washing their hands, and the guy next to this guy says, "How does the soap thing work?" So he showed him how to, and then he realized it was A-Rod. He was wearing in Phoenix, so the guy didn't even realize who. They go, "Wait a second, I think A-Rod was washing his hands next to me." So you would think A-Rod would be upset that people don't know him and stuff with his ego and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But basketball is fun to watch, and the playoffs are always great and stuff like that. Like you said, teams go 7-8 deep. You don't see these bench guys come off the guys come off the bench, and it seems like it's a lot tighter too. The teams play defense in the playoffs. They don't play defense all years, but they clamp down in the playoffs. Yeah. It seems.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess that's just what it is now. That's what we've come to in the NBA. But I think that might be, me and Aiden were talking about this last night. I think that might be why the NBA playoffs have become so exciting, because you're used to watching this dribble for the last, crappy basketball. Like, why is this team playing 500? But then in your head, you think they kick it up. They kick it up a notch when it comes to the playoffs. Oh my God, I'm sorry, I got the hiccups. And
what do you think? What do you think, Rich? Knicks win the championship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rangers win the Stanley Cup. Bedlam, 2 parades. Bedlam in New York. I mean, we haven't won a championship in a while, right? Can you imagine? Can you imagine if the Knicks won? The Knicks haven't won a championship in 50 years. Can you imagine if the Knicks, Rangers, and Jets win the Super Bowl this year, Rich?
Oh my God! Because we're probably not going to get a chance to talk about football today because we're on a schedule today. But
just real fast though, the Jets really improved their team. I think I don't know about the draft, but getting the offensive lineman, somebody to protect. There you go. Turn it around. There you go. Getting the offensive lineman to protect Aaron Rodgers. I think that was huge.
And we drafted a kid that they call the Yak.
I think the Yak, we're going to forget about Cobb, right? We don't need Cobb anymore. You got the ultimate Yak right now. Yeah.
No way. That kid is, in my eyes.
That's not YAK either. That's YAC.
No. Why would you put a guy with the nickname of the Yak, not your number 3 receiver on that call right there?
Crazy.
They drafted so good. And listen, if you don't think that number 1 pick, and you're a Jet fan, if you don't think that number 1 pick was a good pick, or if you're mad about that number 1 pick being a bad pick, you're not a Jets fan and you don't understand football.
Yep.
If anybody wants to combat me on that, because just because he's not, the big wide receiver or the big quarterback. No, he's one of the top. He did not give up a sack in college. Not one sack did he give up in college. On Penn State. Now, you're not playing at Penn. You're playing at a high-level Division I school that has 107,000 people watching every single week, and you did not give up a sack. You're starting as my blindside offensive guy with the other 3 vets and this other guy, Jonathan Michael Finkel. I don't know his name or whatever, but he's saying he said, how come you went to Denver or something like that? Because the Jets didn't offer me anywhere near what the Denver Broncos did. Of course, your offensive line was horrible. Gone. I don't miss you. So don't tell me that you're mad that you didn't get the contract that you wanted from the Jets. No, go protect the third stringer, Zach Wilson.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say he'll protect Zach Wilson now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Zach Wilson could hold hands over there in Denver and just do nothing for the Broncos. Yeah, the Jets to me, and again, all you guys out there that the Jets going to be great. It must be almost football season. The Jets improved more than most teams in the NFL this year. Especially with Aaron Rodgers, May 20th, 0 restrictions he has. Not to mention the Yak is living with him.
Yep.
I mean, this is a guy now that's he could, listen, he could be Aaron Rodgers and everybody's like the douche that everybody thinks he is because he's just a little different than everybody. But this is a guy that knows in his brain he's got something to prove to Jet fans because of what happened last year. A man has an ego. It doesn't matter who you are. You have an ego. And if your ego says that you were supposed to win a Super Bowl last year with this team and you got hurt, you can't help getting hurt. I understand that. But it happened, and you have to have a chip on your shoulder because you're Aaron Rodgers. You're going to be spoken about the top 25 quarterbacks to ever play football when you're retired. Now, you have to go out there and try as hard as you can to make that a Super Bowl team because I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm talking about AFC Championship or bust. I'm not even saying Super Bowl is big. AFC Championship or bust with this team because last year their defense showed that they're a high-level defense. They kicked it back a notch because the offense completely sucked. But that defense is like, holy shit, we got some players. Everybody sees about all this stuff, Aaron Rodgers and all the offensive line and the wide receivers. We have Breece Hall with a brand new offensive line this year and 3 good wide receivers. The Jets are going to be a damaging team this year. They're going to make some noise. And I'm saying AFC Championship or bust.
Yeah, no, definitely. This is another small window that's going to close soon because how many years does Aaron Rodgers have left? I think the schedule comes out this week, so we could see that first game where Aaron Rodgers will be running out with the American flag on the field, and hopefully he'll get more than 4 plays this year coming up.
Now, if I know Aaron Rodgers, or you watch him and the kind of guy he is, I wouldn't be surprised if he runs out onto the field and he trips, not on purpose. And he gets up, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does something stupid like that, just because, he thinks it's funny. I mean, I don't know. I kind of think that would be funny if he did that.
Or does a cartwheel or something like that,
Yeah, he falls or something like that. Then he has to stay healthy. If he's joking about it, then he has to stay healthy.
Crazy. Yeah. So, that's coming up. The schedule comes out this week. I think they said on the 9th or something like that. So we'll see the schedule come out or Thursday. I don't know what it is, but
football, Eric, we're not going to talk about football in length, but football is going to be freaking exciting next year, dude. There's so much different. It's good. It's different than it's ever been in a long time. 6 running backs, 6 high-level running backs are in different positions.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. And Ezekiel Elliott's back with the Cowboys. Amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yep. And look at the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens could have won the Super Bowl last year. They have Derrick Henry now, dude.
Yep.
So how are you going to look at Lamar Jackson and be like, oh my God, this guy might run? We have Derrick Henry standing next to him. Yep. That team might win the Super Bowl next year.
And look at the Chargers. The Chargers don't have those receivers anymore. It's crazy.
That's another guy. Jim Harbaugh. That's another guy. They made the perfect pick. That Joe Alt guy, he's another one.
Yep.
They made the perfect pick. San Diego Chargers.
A lot better than the Falcons, right?
Trading Herbert and with Herbert with an offensive line and a wide receiver still the ball too, they're going to be crazy too, man.
Well, I think everyone did better than the Falcons, right?
Oh my God, yeah, yeah, absolutely. I can't believe. Now, do you want to talk about that for a second? Because what does Michael Penix Jr. think? What is Michael Penix Jr. going to think about that? And at the opposite end, what's his name going to think?
Kirk Cousins.
What's Kirk Cousins going to think? Do you think Kirk Cousins said pick this kid, or you think Kirk Cousins yo, what are you doing, man?
there is conspiracy theory out there saying that they took Penix Jr. because they think the NFL is investigating a possible tampering scandal between Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. So there might be something out there where they might renege on the deal. So I think the Falcons did that just to cover their ass. But that's just hearsay, just something I heard. You don't know, but there's got to be a method to the madness, Rich. You just don't pay that much money for a free agent quarterback and then just sign a quarterback like that in the draft, or draft a quarterback, I should say.
Out of all these 6 quarterbacks that came out in the first round, not all of them are going to be, Rich, what they're supposed to be.
It's not 1983. Let's put it that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you right now, tool-wise, maturity-wise, I think it's terrible that Michael Penix Jr. went to the Atlanta Falcons. I think just from, again, it's opinion-based. I think he's going to come out of this pack, if he gets the chance, to be the best, one of the best out of these 6 quarterbacks. And I think Drake May is gonna be another one that's gonna be probably one of the best to come out of this class of 6. I think you're gonna hear that Caleb Williams is a pussy. You're gonna hear that what's his name from LSU there. That you're gonna find out that he's gonna be pretty good. I mean, look, Justin Fields Justin Fields left Chicago because of this kid Caleb Williams, but I just think that he doesn't have the balls to play. That's just my opinion again. So I do think that those 2 guys. I think if 2 out of 4 are going to be very, very successful, it's going to be Drake May and Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah, I was shocked at the Giants not taking a quarterback. That means they're going to put it in Daniel Jones's lap now, and we know Jones has done nothing in his career basically. So,
if you're giving the Giants, that's another team that shored up their offensive line. Yep. So if you give now, Daniel Jones has no excuse not to be successful now. If he's 100% healthy, which he's probably not going to be because, that's what they said. He might miss the first game or 2. But anyway, he's got an offensive line, and they just drafted that kid from LSU, Malik Nabers. Malik Nabers, I don't know if you watched any stuff on him. That guy is so exciting to watch, man. Now, you have him to throw the ball to, kind of like a Garrett Wilson scenario, like with, last year when he got drafted by the Jets. You have to utilize this kid to his full potential. So he's going to be open. He's going to want the football. So you have to kind of
get
Daniel Jones has to get into a mindset.
You got to throw the ball to him. You got to be a good quarterback.
Have to. You can't just look around. Look, Daniel Jones is a good athlete, smart guy, but I just don't. That's not the guy. I mean, did they pass on taking a quarterback because they thought that Malik Nabers is that good and they're going to figure out the quarterback position? I don't know.
No.
Saquon Barkley gone. He's going to be running for 150 yards against the Giants this year. He'll run for 300 yards against the Giants in the 2 games they play this year. So I don't know what their method to their madness is, but all I know is that the Daniel Jones is going to be the weak point for that Giant team.
Yep. So we got 20 minutes left, Rich, because I got to get out of here. But
yeah.
I want to touch on some baseball and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to talk about the Yankees. So we really didn't talk that much since this happened, but the Yankees were rolling in the beginning of the season. I mean, they're still doing pretty well, but they had Anthony Volpe down in the 6th, 7th hole, basically. They moved Volpe to number 1 for batting for it, and he's hit 209 since, basically. So I don't know if it's a slump or whatever, but I think the tinkering that Aaron Boone's doing with the lineup, he did the same thing with Verdugo. Now, Verdugo's been a great surprise. He put Verdugo up 4th last weekend, and they scored 15 runs in 2 games, back-to-back games. Verdugo goes on paternity leave. He comes back on Thursday, and Boone puts him up 6. Why did Boone put him up 6? Oh, because he was gone for 3 days. So what difference does it matter if he's 4th or 6th? That means he gets 10 minutes more rest since he came back from the paternity leave. But, I think Boone's screwing up with the lineup. He did something last night, too, very different. And the reporters were asking him after the game. I don't know if anyone saw the Yankee game out there. So the Yankees in the bottom of the 9th, they had runners on 2nd and 3rd, tie game with no outs. So 2nd and 3rd, no outs. And Stanton just got a double, basically. So he takes Stanton out of the game, puts a pinch runner in. And they asked him at the beginning, why did you put a pinch runner in where the only runner in the game means the guy on 3rd, basically? So Boone said, I just did it because I did it. Basically, there was no – so Boone is making some pretty weird decisions lately. I don't know what's going on, but like I said, the Yankees, they went into Baltimore. They lost 3 out of 4. I think the Orioles are the new Astros, but there's just some things where I'm not too comfortable with this team. And people say, well, they won 21 games. They're a game out of first place, but I'm not too comfortable because I see things The bullpen, for example, the bullpen's not striking out guys. You're pitching the contact. Clay Holmes has been lights out. I said Clay Holmes for Cy Young the other day. He's been lights out, but the other guys to get to Clay Holmes are not like the old Yankees bullpen. The Yankees bullpen was like striking out guys like crazy. Let all these guys go in the Soto trade. On the flip side, if you look at Juan Soto's done everything the Yankees can expect of him right now. He's led that team. He's had a great month of April. And if you look at the guys the Yankees traded away, all those guys, their stats are horrible. So the Cashman get a check plus for this trade? But yeah, Aaron Judge too. The fans are saying Aaron Judge is hurt, blah, blah, blah. Aaron Judge hurt his toe last year. He came back the month of September and hit the cover off the ball. I think the guy's just going through a slump. There's some good signs of late for Aaron Judge. I don't know what your take is on Aaron Judge, Rich. Is he hurt or not? But I think the New York fans are just impatient. Just let it ride out. Only 1 month done in the season, and you're in first place basically. Let it. The warm weather is going to bring out the best in both of our teams, Rich. The Yankees and Mets. The Northeast is just a horrible place to play in April. The balls aren't leaving the yard. Once the warm weather, I went to the Renegades game last Sunday. It was a nice warm day, and the balls are flying out of the Renegades. It just shows you the warm weather is where the home runs start. We got to get rid of this weather. We need the 80-degree weather, Rich, and then people will be like, yeah. Alonso's hitting the home runs, Yankees are hitting home runs, and the warm weather brings out the best in baseball. That's just my take on it.
Yeah. Now, all right, I'm gonna go back to what you were saying in the beginning. Listen to this lineup right now, okay? Now you're a baseball fan, I'm a baseball fan, but listen to this lineup right now, okay? Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, O'Hearn, Mountcastle, Santander, Mullins, Westberg, Kierstead, and Mateo. You obviously know who that lineup is, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think the average, not the average baseball fan, but somebody who follows baseball probably wouldn't really know most of those guys, right?
Well, it's good losing 100 games every year for a couple of years, right?
That is the team to beat this year, dude.
Yep.
And I'm talking about not just the team to beat. That's the team to beat in both leagues.
And
I don't want to hear about the Dodgers and all their stars.
Corbin Burns too, as a starting pitcher.
Yes, that's the point I was going to make too. Adding Corbin Burns puts them, for me, at the top of the list in the entire. Now, look, you're going to look are the Baltimore Orioles the best team in baseball? I don't know. I don't know at this point. But looking at what they're doing as an organization and as a team, and running with all these young guys who are full of piss and vinegar and want to win baseball games, I think that the Baltimore Orioles are right now the staple of what people need to do in professional sports.
And Jackson Holiday, too. Don't forget, they just sent it down to the minors. I think he had 2 hits and 50 at-bats, but they stocked up the Orioles. And, you got to get
he's 21.
Yep.
He's 21 and got up in front of 40,000 people, came into the game. Listen, the kid struck out. He was way behind on the ice. I watched his first at-bat, dude. Listen, was the kid behind on a 100-mile-an-hour fastball? Yes, he was. Did he swing the bat? He swung the bat. He didn't watch pitches go by. Now, if you want to say, oh, he's not ready, he swung right through that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. No, he's 20. He's getting his timing down, okay? Yes, of course he's going to watch 100-mile-an-hour go right by him because he's 20. Or he's 21. That kid is going to be a star. And once he's added to that, when he's 100% ready, what are they going to do with this lineup? Like, what are they going to do with, like, Gunnar Henderson, who's leading professional baseball right now in home runs? Who's Gunnar Henderson? He's not, he's not Castellanos. He's not Judge. He's not Soto, Alonso. Think of these guys who are in the home. Gunnar Henderson has 12 home runs this year. And Soto's, I think, Mountcastle or Rutschman, one of those guys. Now, I don't want to go crazy, but Baltimore Orioles right now are the organization that I look at as what people should do. Now, you mentioned something before about your manager, okay, Aaron Boone. Now, Aaron Boone is doing something that I agree with you. I don't know what's going on with him, but my manager, who I told you I was so disappointed, right? Couldn't stand him. I was like, what are they doing? My manager is doing exactly what a manager needs to do in baseball, okay? When I say that is, you just said Stanton hit a ball and then they pulled him out, right? That's what happened, okay? Vientos hit a game-winning home run the night before. You know what he did the next day? Sat Beatty. Vientos gets a chance to play. Now, I have to think that Carlos Mendoza is going through the mantra of, look, Lindor is going to play every day. Alonso is going to play every day. I think Jeff McNeil should be traded, but that's just my thing. But the hot hand is going to play. And that's what Carlos Mendoza is doing. And I'm just, in my head, like, it's not too obvious if you're not a Mets fan. You know what I mean? Like, but me and Aiden watch every game. this is what he's doing. And they're a 500 baseball team right now because their pitching is lacking. I'll get into the pitching when we talk about the Mets. But I love, and I'm going to recant about not liking Carlos Mendoza. I love what Carlos Mendoza is doing in the beginning stages of this season, because he's doing what a manager's supposed to do, not what the upstairs is supposed to be do. What is Randy Levine calling Aaron Boone because they have a good relationship, saying, Stanton really doesn't do too well in the 7th and 8th inning, But the guy just did this. I'm not saying that he agrees, but I don't think maybe it's like he doesn't have the balls to fight with these guys. You know what I mean? And say no. Like, I think there's going to be one day when a guy like Aaron Boone, I can't think that Aaron Boone is always a yes man. I think Aaron Boone, there's going to be a time when the Yankees aren't playing well, because every team goes through it. And Aaron Boone is going to look up. He's going to look at the lineup. He's going to crumble it up. He's going to throw it in the garbage. And he's going to make his own lineup up. And he's going to finally give a big FU to that Yankee front office, which this is not your mom and dad. This is not your dad's and your grandfather's Yankees. Are you right, Eric? Am I right by saying that? Like, this is not like,
yeah. Well, that ended when George died, Rich.
Right.
Steinbrenner died, and it became a whole new team. It ended there, basically.
Could you imagine what happened if Steinbrenner told Billy Martin that he has to put Reggie Jackson back in the game, even though him and Reggie Jackson just spit at each other on the bench? You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't happen. Like, that manager would walk off. Now you have a yes man in Aaron Boone, and most of the coaches in baseball are like that. But I'm looking at Mendoza, kind of like, I think Stern has a lot of faith in him, and I think Cohen has a lot of faith in him, which I like. Yeah, will he get stuff bounced off of him? But he's making coaching decisions, not front office decisions. That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Joe Girardi to come down from the broadcast booth and go back into the dugout again.
Why did they ever fire him?
You gotta hand it to Aaron Boone, though. Aaron Boone, he's definitely a player's manager. He sticks up for his players. He gets kicked out of the game all the time and stuff. So he is a pretty fiery guy. But I think you're right. He's a puppet. The strings are getting pulled from upstairs. They're making the lineups and stuff like that. And he's got no choice in the matter. And that's why when they asked about Stanton last night, he just said, I did what I did, basically, because why would the guy just smacked a double? I mean, Stanton is having a pretty good season. You got to realize Stanton's not going to hit 300, Rich. Stanton might not even hit 250, but when Stanton makes contact with the ball, I mean, the ball just flies off his bat. He's
got 6 home runs.
10 miles an hour,
Yeah, he's batting 224.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, you can't. He's not going to be a 300 hitter. You got to expect what you can expect from Stanton. He's a modern day Dave Kingman, all or nothing, basically. But I agree. But one thing about the Mets game, and I want to talk. Ben and I had an argument the other day. So I was watching the Mets Cubs game the other night, and the last play of the game where Alonso was trying to score on that play, and of course they thought it was interference. So I said to Ben, what is the catcher supposed to do? Not catch the ball? I mean, the catcher's trying to catch the ball. He wasn't blocking the plate, but that was the way the ball was thrown to him. And I said to Ben, I said the flip side to Ben, why was Alonso running? Why didn't they have a pinch runner running for Alonso in that situation?
The other night, the Cubs. Oh, yeah.
Last play of the game. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I honestly, I don't know. There's just sometimes the decisions, like, you don't know, like, why, like, maybe Alonso asked him, it's like, just, leave me here. I want to score. Maybe Alonso said, look, I was 0 for, whatever. I was 0 for the other day. Like, I need to do something. Don't pinch run for me, right? I don't know. Like, I don't know why that would have been, to be honest with you. I really don't. I mean,
and I said to Ben, I said, who would win in a race, Stanton or Alonso, if they had a foot race? Who would win?
I think Stanton would beat most people in the major leagues.
Oh God, it's crazy.
Stanton is a specimen, dude. Like he like him. I think we in New York. I think we have two of not the best baseball players, but I think we have two of the best athletes in all sports. In Stanton and Starling Marte, dude. Those two guys are just. I mean, they're specimens when you look at them. It's like Marte has him too. It's like, but they're not obviously they're not the best players in baseball, but Stanton, I don't know what it is about Stanton. Maybe Stanton needs glasses and maybe he doesn't want to wear glasses. I don't know. But when you're right, dude, when he swings and remember the ball, remember 2 years ago, the ball he hit in Boston and he almost literally knocked the Green Monster down with the ball.
Yeah. Remember that? Oh my God. Remember that?
Amazing. And the only reason he got he could have had a triple out of that, but the only reason he got a double is because they hit the wall so damn hard that it just fell.
Crazy, it's unreal.
I've always liked Stanton. I mean, when the Yankee fans were pissed and they didn't want him, and They were thinking I would have loved to put Stanton at Citi Field, and he would be my DH, man. That's what JD Martinez is supposed to be right now for the Mets.
There you go. There you go. You know what? You talked about pitching before, Rich. Severino's done a pretty good job with the Mets coming across town.
He has. And the other night, I do it all the time, and I'm such an asshole when I do this. And God love my son. He hates me for it. He gets so mad. He comes in the other night, and I was doing something. I wasn't watching the game. He goes, "Dad, something going on in the game." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, "Yeah, there's something going on right now." It's like, "You know what?" It's like, "Wait, what's going on? Severino pitching a no-hitter?" He's like, "Why'd you just say that? Why did you just say that?" He's like, "You just jinxed it. You just jinxed it." I was like, "Oh my God, you know, I always do that." And he goes, "Oh, look what happened. 5 minutes later, bang, somebody on second base." Yeah, thanks, Dad. So me as a Met fan, I'm taking that to heart, being like, "Holy shit, I ruined a no-hitter."
It's still better than giving up 6 runs in the first inning, and 3 walks.
Yeah, I know. Severino, listen, and not for nothing, Severino would be the guy to throw the no-hitter for the Mets. I think he would.
Yeah, just like Domingo Germán threw the perfect game for the Yankees, exactly. Right? Crazy, unreal. But the Mets have that rookie going today. Christian Scott's his name. Haven't really heard too much about him, but the Mets haven't really developed a pitcher since Steven Matz, 2015, right?
Well, listen, is this guy ready? I don't know. We'll see how he pitches today. It's not one of these guys that's coming up. It's not like you're, not like Al Leiter. It's not like Jack Leiter or like any of those kids. Like he's pitching, you know what I mean? And we'll see how he does. I don't know, about the performance. Maybe they're ready. Maybe because that bullpen's been doing okay, except out of, I can't stand out of, every time I see him, he gives up a home run. But anyway, I'm excited to see what the kid has, you know what I mean? And I think right now they're doing this out of necessity, Eric, because our pitching staff sucks. Terrible. Our pitching staff is terrible. I mean, Minea was pitching okay in the beginning, but he's okay. He's back to being okay. And Severino's our best pitcher right now. Senga's not back yet. I thought Senga was going to be back in the third start, but now they're saying he's having, was having difficulties or whatever. I don't know. They had Diaz had to pitch 5 innings yesterday. I mean, so I think the Mets are trying to figure out their pitching staff, and they're going to hit. Now, Francisco Lindor, again, he just never ceases to. I love the guy. And I told you last year, I made a statement saying that he's one of my all-time favorite athletes, baseball players, because he is. And just for what he did the other night. Like he had a slow start, and he's still slowly getting there. But to be sick, to be puking, to be shitting, whatever was going on with him the other day, and as well as I do, he wanted to play the day his baby was born. Okay, so there had to be something going on with him where it's not the flu. It's not this. I think he literally, and I hate to say it, I think he literally just had to take a shit. And he didn't want to, he had a stomach issue. So he comes into that game, ropes a double, then hits a game-winning walk-off, right? Exactly where that ball needed to be for one of my favorite Mets, Harrison Bader, the way he was trucking around and score. The Mets are exciting now. And Lindor, and he said all the right things after that game. Why do you not put a captain on his chest? They need that because he does that. You got a player that's supposed to be playing well, okay? You see it on their faces. Like if they're not playing well, they're kind of just like, all right, hey, cool, man. It's like Lindor was batting all of 0.98. But the minute somebody did well in that dugout, and they came in after a home run or a stolen base or a good play, not Derek Jeter-like, but almost as, come here, give me a hug. I know, it's awesome. Hey, listen, we'll get him next time. Or awesome home run, high fives. That's the kind of shit that I'm talking about that captains do. He's batting 98, but yet the entire team was more important than him batting 98. And then when he hit that home run that night, this is why I'm kind of seeing like what I like with the camaraderie of the team. When he hit that home run after he was batting 103, he hits that home run. He comes in. Starling Marte gave him the biggest hug I've ever seen. Alonso. And was it a big home run? Yeah, it was a big home run, but it was bigger for the team. And it was bigger for Lindor. Now, your captain is now starting to do well. Because I do really think in their minds, even Alonso's mind, I can't figure that guy out. He's awesome. But even he, I'm sure, thinks that he should be the captain of the team. Because not only does he good with the good young players, the older players respected him too. Like Marte gave him that hug. Like, I knew it, dude. It's like, come on. I knew you were going to do this. It's like, now let's go. Yep. And he's been playing pretty well since then. So the Mets are in a situation now where they can make they can make the playoffs, this team, dude. They can. And I think that they're also in a position now where they're playing good enough baseball where I don't think they're going to think about trading Alonso. I don't think they're going to go for it. I think they may try and get a pitcher, or Alvarez being out, catching is very weak right now, but hopefully he'll be back by July. But they're going to have to explore getting a pitcher or a catcher if Alvarez is hurt worse than I think.
Well, if they get Senga back, there's your trade right there. They get Senga back. But on the flip side, Garrett Cole's going to throw off the mound today. So one of the Yankees' strong points this year has been the starting pitching, believe it or not. So getting Garrett Cole back will definitely be an asset. But yeah, the Yankees' starting pitching has been great. Can't complain about that. They're second in the league in ERA, just behind the Red Sox of all teams. And it's funny because, you used to have the pitchers hit the National League. Now the National League has a DH, so the top six teams leading in ERA are all American League teams now. So now that it's balanced out and stuff with the DH, anything can happen. But the Yankees team ERA is great, so the pitching's been there. But like I said, the hitting's got to pick up, and strikeouts are down, on base percentage is up, so they're just not scoring runs. Too many double plays, Rich. I think Aaron Judge has like 10 double plays this year. He's got more double plays than home runs hit. So I think they got to cut down on double plays, because it seems like every Yankee game there's at least.
You asked me a question earlier that I wanted to get to that just hit me now. You asked me how I felt about Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Okay, Aaron Judge to me is, if you look at Aaron Judge as a baseball player, an athlete, guy is like, every day he should get up there. He should hit 70 home runs a year. But just like you look at him and that's who he is. Great player. Unbelievable. He's just a victim of his size, dude. And if you say the fact that he's a slow starter now because he's not hurt, but he's aching, and because of the weather, how the weather is here in September and October in New York baseball, dude. So
it is in April. Yeah. I'm
making a statement now, and it's not a hater statement, but if the Yankees make the playoffs this year, don't count on Aaron Judge being in right field. I just don't count on it. I mean, maybe he'll have the stats, or maybe, and again, you look at him, he is who he is. You wish that he was healthy every day, but I think he's going to be a big victim of his size, because you can't carry around all that weight and play the way he plays every day without getting hurt.
Yeah, well, thank God they're not playing in Dodger Stadium this year. The Dodgers are coming to the East Coast, but yeah, no, he's more like built like a football player, made for football, not for patrolling the outfield and stuff. And I do think that you may disagree with me. I do think that Juan Soto has something to do with his downfall. And as much as remember I told you like how players, the great players, this, that, and the other thing. I'm going to say something right now that Yankee fans may not agree with. Juan Soto, better baseball player than Aaron Judge. Juan Soto is going to be the face of the Yankees if Aaron Judge if he signs a contract with the Yankees, which he might. Yep.
Aaron Judge is going to take a back seat, and I think that's going to kill his ego.
Let me ask you a question, Rich. So you go to a kid who's a Yankee fan. You go to the kid nowadays. So who's your favorite Yankee? And I guarantee you Juan Soto will get more votes than Aaron Judge.
Kids that know baseball, little leaguers that know baseball will absolutely say Juan Soto over Aaron Judge. Maybe 2 months ago, it probably would have been Aaron Judge because he's the top-selling jersey in baseball. But slowly, Juan Soto is probably – listen to this, Eric. 34 games, right? 34 games. You know this. I'm just saying it. 8 home runs, batting .320 with 25 RBIs in 34 games. Aaron Judge.
Base all the time too.
What?
He gets on base all the time too. He walks a lot too.
I love him in a Yankee uniform.
Look at the bleacher.
I hope the Yankees shit the bed and he signs with the Mets next year, but I love watching him play.
Look at the bleacher creatures, Rich. They're more on Juan Soto than they are on Aaron Judge, basically.
Yeah, as well they should be, because
the tide definitely is turned with the first month of the season, no doubt about it.
100%.
Yep.
All right, I know you got to go. It's 10:30.
Yep, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna head up to New Paltz and stuff. Thank God things are quiet up there now. Little tense moments the other day and stuff, but yeah, heading up there, and my son will be home in 2 weeks. 1 year done, 1 more year to go. So looking forward to it. Yep.
All right, absolutely. I want you to do me a favor though, okay?
Yep.
In your free time, or we'll do it whenever. But
are you giving me homework, Murph?
I am giving you homework. Remember we talked about putting together our baseball team?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm going to start doing it with some free time in the next couple of days. I'm not, whenever you get done, again, let's start thinking about that, because I like our little thing we did about the NBA. I like that.
Baseball's much better, more positions.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And a larger sample size. Are we doing pitchers too, Rich? Starting pitchers?
We're doing a starting 5 and one reliever.
Okay.
a manager, and starting nine with the DH. Okay. And starting 5 and 1 reliever.
Now this is
like 1 closer.
But this could be like players that we never saw play in the.
Remember we said 1960 and up.
1960 and up. Okay, great.
You can't pick Babe Ruth.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like something like that, or I could pick any man I want because it's 1960. But like you have I can also pick Bob Gibson. He's gonna be one of my pitchers, but that's what I mean. Like 1960 is the cutoff, and I'm saying they didn't have to be a rookie in 60. Like they could have started in 56, but still playing in 1960. So
like I could say Sandy Koufax
roster,
right,
and up.
I could say Sandy Koufax. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So 1960 roster to present day.
Yeah, perfect, great.
All right, and we're going to talk about that, and then that's it, man. Listen, good luck to Ben, and I know you're he's coming down the home stretch now, right? So
so a couple more weeks, and so we'll do the all-time baseball team. We'll get that done and stuff, and that should be an interesting show.
All-time baseball, and eventually we're going to do an all-time football team too. So
okay, how about soccer? No, right?
I got Pele, I got Messi, I got.
Well, on that note, I will be watching the Messi against the Red Bulls over the Kentucky Derby today. How about that? Right?
That's a close one. That's definitely a close one. You know what? I'm probably going to be outside doing yard work.
hey, Murph. May the Schwartz be with you today. Yeah, exactly.
All right, brother. Eric, thanks. Like I said, I'm glad you're back from your harrowing experience from having force-fed tacos yesterday, but I'm glad to have you back. And I know you're busy. Just let me know. We'll do another show real soon. All right.
We'll do, buddy. Take care. Enjoy your weekend.
Absolutely. You too, brother.
Have a good one, Murph. Take care, bud.
Later. All right. Listen, Eric is out for a couple of minutes, but I know he's not a big boxing guy. But I want to touch on something with boxing right now. The Ryan Garcia fight that we were talking about last time. It's come out recently that Ryan Garcia has done steroids. I guess it's pretty noticeable the way he was hitting Devin Haney in that last fight. I don't know what's going on with that kid. That kid came into boxing. He young kid, fast, quickly became one of the top ranked boxers. Something's going on with that kid. I don't know what it is. He went a little crazy. I don't know if it's because I don't know what it's because. Maybe it's too much money. Maybe it's too much fame. Maybe it's just he's got a little men's mental health going on right now because the guy. Maybe it's the steroids because he went from being one of the premier young light boxers to a guy that people are talking about as certifiably nuts right now. I hope he's okay. If you're a friend of his, and you're another boxer, find out if he's okay. But the way he beat up Devin Haney in that fight 2 weeks ago was absolutely insane. He had no shot. So the fact that he came out on steroids, maybe he knew that was going to be his last fight. Maybe he's gearing up to go to the UFC. I'm not saying he's going to be good in the UFC, but maybe he's gearing up for something. But maybe he knew it. But I thought maybe at the end of the day, he literally steroided up and wanted to beat the shit out of Devin Haney and knew he was going to get suspended. So that's my take on the Ryan Garcia fight. There's also news about the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight. Okay, the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight. Stuff's been going on about the rules. Talking about headgear. They're talking about it's not going to be a real fight. They're talking about it's going to be an amateur rules. Talking about this, talking about that. This morning on YouTube, I was watching the breakdown of what the rules are going to be. It's going to be a professional fight. There's going to be knockouts. This is going to be a professional boxing match. Now, if this guy, Jake Paul, is going into this as Jake Paul, Logan Paul, one of them, I get the two of these guys confused. I think that, look, the kid's young. He's a lot bigger. He's a lot tall. He's a lot taller. He's got his reach. I mean, Mike Tyson could turn this into a street fight. Mike Tyson can also, I don't know what he's going to do in this instance, but I think if the real Mike Tyson comes out in this fight, I think that the Paul brothers are going to be superstars in the WWE. Because that, at the end of the day, is where this kid needs to go. Unless he's really serious about his boxing career. But his brother is just lighting it up in the WWE right now. And so this Mike Tyson fight, Jake Paul fight could go either way. If it's I think that if it is just a display, I think that there's a possibility that this kid, Jake Paul, could win. But if it's a boxing match and Mike Tyson is going into it trying to kill this kid, I think Mike Tyson is going to beat the living crap out of him, send him down to the WWE. That's just my take on the Paul brothers. The Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight is going to be in July, and it's going to be on Netflix, which I think is a great idea. I don't know what's going on with Ryan Garcia. And I watched an interview on Rogan. I'm a big Rogan guy. You guys all know that. UFC. I've just been kind of like a fair weather, fan of the UFC. I watched the last UFC 300 and really got into it. I watched an interview with Max, the guy that won last time. Max Holloway, I think his name is. I'm sorry I had to get in the names, but I watched that fight, and at the end of that fight, I was all in. That was a fight that went the distance. That was a fight that could have gone either way. As a matter of fact, he might have been losing. With 10 seconds left, he put his finger down, and those two guys brawled it out and punched each other like men for 10 seconds. And not to take anything away from either one of those guys, but with 1 second left, that knockout was the craziest thing I've ever seen in sports, because that stuff is not faked. It's not staged. It's two men with egos wanting to beat each other up. And for Max Holloway, which I'm hoping I'm saying his name correctly. If not, I do apologize. And you guys are going to call me a Fugazi UFC fan, but I am just getting into it. That was one of the craziest moments I've ever seen in sports. Now, that's what I want to ask, that if some people are still listening right now, that's what I want to ask. Is that one of the craziest things that you have ever seen in sports? Because to me, it is. Throwing a Super Bowl touchdown, hitting a game-winning home run, soccer, whatever it may be. But that UFC match a couple of weeks ago was probably one of the greatest, if not top 3 greatest things I have ever seen in professional sports. UFC, you guys are doing a great job. Dana White, you're the man. You don't let anybody talk shit about your organization, and you put that organization on your back, and you made it what it is today. Good luck with that UFC. And guys, if you're not checking out the UFC, check it out. And if you're not checking out the MURF and EDUBBS show, check us out on Keep Talking 365 at YouTube. There's also a couple other different types of shows on there. We have everything for your liking. So this is Murph signing off, and good luck to Ben going to New Paul's, and let's have a good weekend, everybody. It's going to be beautiful. This is Murph signing off, and thanks for checking out the MURF and EDUBBS show.